Good Sunday morning, daylight savings. We decided to leave a little later today since we wanted to wait for the sun to come up. And we are at camp. You can see there's a privy up the hill, somebody breaking down their tent. We got people sleeping and eating breakfast. There's a fire pit here that's soaking wet. And we probably had at least 20, maybe more people here last night. And down this path is where most of the tenters were. We've got a couple people that have left already. Let me show you one thing so that you know what they are. We have somebody that has hung their bear bag in the shelter. Since I didn't sleep in the shelter, it doesn't bother me. But these are not bear bag hooks, these are mice hooks. And this is what a mouse hook looks like in a tent. We're on the trail. Day 11. We expect about 12 miles to Carter Gap Shelter, and we all slept well last night despite a lot of rain and wind. It was a good night, and actually a really good night to not be in the shelter. I wanted to share with you a few good things about being a shelter mate. One, when people show up at the shelter and the shelter is full, be kind. Let them know that you wish that you had room for them. And, you know, give them a little lay down of the land. Invite them to come in and warm up before they set up their tents or their hammocks. And don't ostracize them. So that's the first tip on being a good shelter mate. If you are smoking weed or cigarettes, ask the other people around you first. The group that I'm traveling with, quite a few people have security clearances. And this is not stuff that they can be around and come back and have residual stuff on their body if they have a random test after returning from the Appalachian Trail. So just because it's good for you doesn't mean it's good for somebody else. Hike your own hike does not mean putting somebody else in risk or in danger. The bear hanging or food hanging, we've seen all sorts of different options at this point. We've seen Ursack bags and bear barrels, canisters, bear hanging kits. But when you see hooks in a shelter, that is to mice-proof your stuff. That's for hanging your backpack or something you want, a jacket, something you want to keep away from mice at night. That is not for hanging your food. Your food should never be hung in or around the shelter. So that's another little piece of wisdom. I'm sure I'll think of more as the time comes on. But, oh, well, here's another one. If you are sleeping in the shelter, do not leave your stuff spread out all over the table. So when others come to use the shelter, there is no room for them to sit or to enjoy that dry space since they are out in the rain. Be conscientious of how your gear impacts others. Again, I think you're sensing a little trend here, which is think about how you impact others and is it a good impact? We are a couple miles into the day, and for right now the rain has stopped and the clouds have lifted, and we are getting views for the first time in quite a few days. Good morning, guys.
Hey, good morning.
Howdy.
Beautiful morning.
Sure is. Bob, how many cups of coffee did you have this morning? 3. That's why it's a beautiful morning.
Beautiful morning.
Coming across a boulder field that is super slippery, but beautiful. That moss is just awake with life. We've got some views. And more boulders ahead. We're cutting through an area that I had forgotten that we would even see of a lot of burned wood. And there was a forest fire, I think it was about 3 years ago, that came through and closed this section of the trail in southern North Carolina, and people had to reroute around it. And until we got here, I had forgotten that that even existed. We were seeing big trees and kept thinking there couldn't be that many lightning strikes. And then I had that aha. So one of you can remind me when that was. Was that in 2016? Because that's what my memory is telling me, but I could be completely wrong on that. So we're 6 miles in, halfway through our day, and it looks like the rain has blown through, and we are on to sunnier skies, which is a thing of beauty. I have finished my water bottle. There is no sink around. There's no place for me to fill up my water, except for right here out in nature. On our navigation systems, as we're following our maps, it shows us where there are water supplies on our day. So we plan our day around that. Let me show you how we collect it and treat it. Somebody has put a nice little leaf here in the water that's coming down the hill so that it comes out almost like a spout. I'm going to fill up this bag, and this is a dirty water bag. This is where all the water that's unfiltered goes into. I don't put any unfiltered water into my drinking water. So this is 2 liters. Well, that filled up quickly, didn't it? I'm going to fill it, and close it up, and now there are lots of different ways to do it, but I use a little water filter. And this gets out bacteria and viruses out of the water, including norovirus. This is the filter, the water filter. I'm going to attach that onto the end of my dirty water bag. Gotta make sure not to leave my cap behind. So I'm just going to screw it right on here. And watch what happens here. I'm going to take the lid off of my water bottle. And my water, can you see the water dripping out? The water is just going to fill this 1 liter water bottle. So I have 2 liters here. So my cousin Sandy Spinner will have the other liter, and we share when we're at water sources like this. Since there's so much water on the Appalachian Trail, there's really no need for us to carry a lot of extra water. Water weighs 2 pounds for every liter. And I know we've talked about trying to keep pack weight down, to be gentle to our bodies and kind to our bodies, and this is one of the ways we can do it, is to not carry too much water along the trail. But I don't know if you can see how the water bottle is filling up here. It's slow, but it's steady. That's probably a better view over on this side. About 1/3 of the way. It takes about a minute, minute and a half to fill up this water bottle. Whoops. Fresh water from the water source. So we have what feels like a really special campsite tonight. We've got a combination of tents and my hammock. We've got folks eating dinner, got bear bags hanging, another hammock. We even have a fire pit. Just feels like a really nice, comfortable place. And it's been a great evening.